You guys here again. It's Sunday Night Live. My name is Kerry Martin. I'll be your host today, but we got a guest as well with us. Mr. A. Ron is in the house with us. Woohoo! And, honestly, we were just talking about what we were going to talk about, and we don't know what we're going to talk about, do we?
Not really. No.
So we're going to be relying on you guys mostly to give us some topics. But, earlier we were talking about like road rights and stuff like that, and some of the issues that we go through up here, huh?
Yeah. That road's it's tough enough to get down. And then you got gates, inconsiderate people, and yeah.
One of the challenges of living up here is right away, and these properties are kind of laid out on hills and stuff, and the roads aren't exactly where they all should be, and so you're kind of driving through everybody else's property before you get to our property. Hey, Pedja, how you doing, man? Glad to have you here this morning. Or you know what? I keep saying that because I'm on Prophecy, Montana. This evening, Prophecy, Montana. We shoot it in the mornings. We shoot this one in the evening. So, but nice to have you here, Pedja. Well, no, we're just talking about easements and right of ways and stuff like that. And when you're living off grid, you're a lot of times driving through other people's property to get to your own. And that's kind of the situation that we have out here. And I know my neighbor Aaron here. Now you live down in the flats. You're
I'm a lowlander.
You're one of those lowlander, highfalutin.
Yeah, we got power and a Walmart.
So he's really not. There's no Walmart for miles.
Well, the way the Highlanders think about us, you'd think we have a Walmart.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. But no, we've got some people up here that have been kind of nasty with the gates, and they've been putting up gates where they shouldn't have been putting up gates, and they've been putting up road barriers and speed bumps and all kinds of things just to be ornery and nasty. It's kind of like one of those old Western movies that you'd be watching, where the water rights and somebody blocks off the water to everybody down below it, and then there's this big war that breaks out, right?
Yep.
Well, there's kind of like a little feud like that going around up here, and there's this one person in particular. I won't mention the individual's name.
Can I?
I don't know. Maybe.
No, I won't either.
But we could be nasty back, but we're not going to be that way. But yeah, it's actually gone to court, and the judge has ordered this individual to keep the gates open, and they're still closing the gates, and the police don't do anything about it. So this is kind of like the Wild West out here. It's definitely Montana, and I think the rancher the other day was complaining that somebody was shooting at him, and we were saying, well, he should have been cleaning out the cattle guards. He should have been, because they've been putting gates up on the cattle guards to keep the cattle in. Well, what's a cattle guard good for if you're putting a gate up on a cattle guard? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just seems...
It's not even a gate. It's not even propped up.
Yeah.
Like, it's a gate, but it's wired to one end and just... It's the dumbest thing you ever seen.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to get through them because you have to sort of like unwire it at one end and pick this thing up, and it's very obnoxious, and everybody hates the ranchers because of that, and the fences aren't fixed, and the cattle are getting into everybody's yards and destroying people's veggies gardens and things like that, and so there's a lot of there's some conflict going on up here, and it's one of the things that you have to kind of look forward to actually kind of navigating around. When you're looking for property, that's one of the things you want to be looking for. Now, does that necessarily like make me not want to live up here? Does that make me like not want to be that, or does it make me want to, or does it make me regret purchasing up here? No, not really. I mean, honestly, despite all those problems, I still like where I live. Now, Aaron,
I'm glad I didn't buy up here.
Well, you're literally like probably just like a couple hundred yards from the road.
I'm half mile from the paved road. I lived out here for about 10 years when Clarkson Road was a dirt road. So we used to drive around. I taught my kids how to drive on these roads back here. Nobody lived out here. The dirt road kept all the undesirables out. And it was nice. This was a nice place. You drive around back here where Carrie now lives, and you'd see deer and elk and grouse and pheasant and coyotes, bobcat. And you don't see that anymore. And it's kind of really sad, especially knowing that a lot of these people are from California.
Hey.
Who...
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, they're all from California. And, you know, the problem is, like my property line, I live on a county road, but my property line ends in the middle of that road. And the neighbor across the street from me, his ends in the middle of that road. And so there's an easement through both of our properties for the road that everybody drives down to get back here. But if I want to come up here and visit Carrie, the same person that drives through my property and my neighbor's property to get back and forth shuts a gate off on her property. And Carrie brought that to my attention. That wasn't an original thought. But, you know, it's one of those things that it's inconsiderate. And the dirt road really kept the inconsiderate people out. There was no wrecks when the road was dirt. We have wrecks all the time on the paved road. People didn't go passing everybody. You know, no deer were hit, no antelope were hit. And it's just not that way anymore. And people treat that road like it's their own private racetrack, which, I mean, whatever, things change. But it's sad to be out here as long as I have and to see that change, because it's not for the better. You know, and the people that did move out here,
Except for me.
except for Carrie, but a lot of the people that live out here now, they have these political views that are light footprint and this is stolen land, you know, and all these liberal
Ideologies.
and yet here they are destroying what was really nice at one time. So, but I guess that just puts me in the class of, well, I got mine, stay out. So, you know, I mean, what do you do about it?
Well, and that's the thing that I've noticed. Things change everywhere. Like the hometown I'm from changed like so much. Like, you know, I remember being a kid and we used to, you know, walk down the roads with our rifles and, you know, and you know, the things that you couldn't do now, you
Right.
know, because the freedoms are just not there anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't take my kids learn how to drive on these roads back here.
No,
No.
no. I mean, there's some people that are driving so fast that it's dangerous to even be on the road at times, you know, with, you know, once you get to know their routine, we've we tend to try and avoid those times when we know they're going to be coming and going. Pedges says, can county or whoever is in power make some kind of regulation regarding rite of passage? That's a good question. What would you say about that?
No. This is an illegal subdivision. That's the problem with it. And just to clarify, I have two batches of kids. I have 30-year-old kids and I have 14-year-old kids. So that's just to clarify the whole, I taught my kids how to drive out here, and then just saying that I wouldn't teach my kids to drive out here. I'm talking about my second batch of kids. But no, this is not a legal subdivision, so the courts really want to stay out of it. And it's been a nightmare ever since I've lived out here. And then to talk to the people that lived out here in the 70s, it really, once the homeowners association got in, which is no longer here anymore, but once they got in, it started being a nightmare for the people that lived out here. And now that they're out and they paved the road, I think the homeowners association would benefit everybody out here now.
Well, we were talking about that, but the previous homeowners association, there was some issues with that as well. I mean, they were
Very corrupt.
yeah, they were literally just taking people's dues and using that to sue them because they wouldn't follow some of the rules that, you know, people didn't quite frankly agree with. If you owned swine, for example, hogs. Now I don't own hogs, but some people do now. That was part of the covenants, and people felt like, well, I'm in Montana, by God, I'm gonna own whatever animal I want, and they were giving you some trouble on your land too. They were saying things like, well, you know, you got to build 1,000 square foot home, and what was your response to that?
Well, I didn't know how they knew how big my footing was, because, I mean, it was private property, so how did they get over there and measure it? It's not like they asked me. She told me it was under 1,000 feet. And so I had a trespass issue. And it was 32 by 40, which is over 1,000 feet. So, you know, they're
But she was sending you letters. She was calling. She
Yeah,
was like
she was
threatening you
hassling
and all
me,
this
and
other stuff.
she did that to a lot of people. The one thing that I did have is the guy that was building the contractor that had built my house. He sold a lot of land out here, and he actually got a hold of her and set her straight because he's the one that set up the homeowners association and put her in charge of it. And I think she had a little bit of fear in her of that guy. So he kind of smoothed everything out so that he could get the house built. But yeah, it was a pretty ugly fight between us, to say the least. And then they got run off. They were going to get sued. And actually, they left town just all at once in the middle of the night.
The homeowners association people, or what?
The lady that was running it.
Oh, I see.
And
did she get run out of? Did she like literally get run out of here? Or?
I think there were. I don't know for sure, but the rumors abound out here. One of the funnest things to do out here is to talk smack about everybody. So I don't know if this is true, but my understanding is that they were being investigated for embezzling from the association, and they packed up and left.
Well, that's funny because I heard some stories that they had, in fact, did embezzle some of the equipment. And I know they did because the fellow that came by and tried to like extort money out of me on my first day here. I'm just a fresh Californian, fell off the turnip truck, and whatever. And he was like, "Oh, here's some fresh meat." Rolls up on his quad and he's like, "Yeah, you owe your homeowners due. You like the roads, don't you?" And the roads were nice back then. That was one good thing about the homeowners association.
Right.
The roads were nice.
Yeah,
but
for $100 a year.
Actually, we don't need a homeowners association. We just need a road association.
Maintenance, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
that guy. So that was the lady that was running it like a tyrant. She left, and I was told it was because of embezzling charges, and she moved out of the area. And
must have been true.
Yeah, who's to say? But then the homeowners association disbanded and new people got elected, and those people ended up shutting it down. But one person who was the president wound up buying land from people who just wanted out for relatively cheap, using inside information to yeah, it was a pretty shady deal there. And I'm not certain all the facts of that, so I'm not even going to talk to that. But he was outed because of what he was doing. And then the final guy that got in there, he closed it down and bought road graders for $1. And
yeah, that was a story I heard too. There was a backhoe and a road grader
land for $1,000, and and we're talking 20 acres of land,
a prime land,
yeah, with the covenants. You could have industry on those front parcels.
Commercial.
Yep, commercial industry. So, yeah, they made out like bandits, and I think that I don't know how you would go about setting it up so that the people benefited, but I live on a county road, so there's no benefit of a homeowners association to me whatsoever. But the people up here definitely need some.
Well, if I ever get the road grader going, I don't need them either. I mean, maybe my goal is to get the road grader going. My dump truck is working fine. My loader's working fine. I got a gravel pit I can pull from, and so over the years I've been slowly, working on the idea of maintaining these roads myself. I got a snow plow. I mean, there's nothing I need from other people.
Except for their money.
Except for what?
Their money.
Well, what's their money going to give me? Because they're going to want my money too, right?
Well, it would get you the gas
from other people, right.
Yeah, you need the money to improve the roads past yours. I mean, that would be a pretty healthy expense to maintain all the roads out here, or just to maintain from your road down to the county road would be.
Well, I mean, it has been a big expense. I mean, just putting the gravel on the road and paying for the fuel and and stuff like that. I mean, I've had neighbors help out, and that's nice. I mean, I got a neighbor behind me that's been throwing money at me to help me finish the road grader, and neighbor over here threw some money at me and said, "Here's for some parts," and I've got almost all the parts for it now, and so we're gonna put together and see what we can do. But yeah, in the past, I've spent, probably thousands of dollars in just fuel and maintenance, just trying
Yep.
to get gravel on these roads, and they don't look all that much better. Well, they look terrible right now because I don't have a road grader. I'm just putting gravel on a road, and with ruts and all.
Right. Right. Yeah, you can do it. You can only do what you can do, but you'd think your neighbors would be a little more gracious towards you. I know I
Well,
would.
I mean, they're all kind of doing their thing, living their life, and that's kind of the okay. So when you move to Montana, when you move to an area, especially in Montana, like we're living in, I get it. Bozeman, those are some high end homes down there, and there's some the people are oh, what's the word?
In Bozeman,
Yeah,
they're affluent. They're highfalutin.
highfalutin.
Yeah,
They're
they got
eating from the upper crust of society.
cement ponds.
Do they?
They do.
Wow, we're gonna have to go knock on one of them doors when it gets hot.
Yeah, well, you might have to. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the people up here in the back country need to
Band together and create a posse.
well,
No kidding.
there's nothing stopping everybody from getting together and pitching in to
Well, but then, yeah, and that's ideal. But then there's some people are not going to pay their fair share.
well,
There's
you're
always
right.
that, and so then you need some judicial branch of the, yeah. It's
Well, if you can do it, if you can get the funds to have the roads maintained in lieu of the freeloaders, then that's not that big a deal. And you just know that those people, I mean, not everybody can afford, the taxes. Hey, when I bought my land, the taxes were $100 a year, and now I'm paying $300 a month.
so, Aaron, I wanted to ask you. Let's change the subject a little bit. I'm a vegetarian, and Aaron is a big hunter. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Montana and what this area is, and what it meant to you then, what it means to you now, as far as the hunting and the fishing and all of the outdoor stuff.
Well, Montana was a lot better when it was less populated. This area was a lot better when it was less populated. Now it's a two-edged sword because we all enjoy the
income
the
from the
income.
populace.
Yeah, there's I couldn't afford to live probably out here. Because we spend it's 100 miles back and forth to town.
Yeah, it literally is.
And Carrie and I were talking the other day that it's expensive just to go to work, and so like I said, it's a two-edged sword. But back before everybody moved out here, and I'm talking into the Gallatin Valley period, we could hunt lots of places. We had no problem filling our tags, and but now, you got the meat eater guy, and all these people that have moved in, and
Does he hunt up here?
his studio's here. Yeah, he hunts up here.
Where's the studio at?
It's in Bozeman.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, but these people drag people with them. When they move here, and they call all their buddies. Oh, it's so great out here. There's nobody, and then all of a sudden
There's everybody.
there's everybody, and so all the places that I used to go hunting. Well, it's different for me because I used to backcountry hunt. We go 5 miles in, at least,
And you're a bow hunter.
yeah,
and a
bow
rifle
hunting,
hunter.
rifle hunting, yeah, and now I'm 52. I was a carpet layer for 30 years. My joints are shot.
Bad knees, of course.
Bad knees, bad back, bad wrist, bad attitude, and so I try to hunt the easy spots now that I'm older. But there's 25-year-old guys hunting those. And the backcountry's still wide open.
They get to the good spots first.
Yeah, and it's like, and the funny thing is, we pulled up on one section of land, and it was 1 mile of county road, and there was not a place to park.
Jeez.
There was
Well,
trucks on both sides.
so have you heard about this guy I worked with up in Yellowstone? He was a big hunter, big hunter, and every year that's what their whole family does, is go on these big like extended hunts, and he actually hired a helicopter
Yep.
to fly him into the backcountry because that's how things have gotten now. I
Yeah.
mean, it's either a 2 or 3 day hike, and then 2 or 3 days hunting, 2 or 3 day hike back. If you get an elk, especially, that's I mean, elks are all dressed out, or how much of that? I mean, that's a huge pack full of meat.
Yeah. It's we killed a cow. We killed 2 cows just east of where Carrie's at right here. And it was on a piece of BLM land. And we got them boned out and hiked down to the trailhead. There's a little trailhead. It's not really a trailhead, but whatever. We got them out of the side of the hill, out of the side of the mountain there, and got them down to the where it was basically easy to and we left them there for that evening. And I called. How many was there? 1, 2, 3. There were 3 of us that hiked up there. We all hauled elk out, and it took us 8 hours. And it was on one section of land. So that's 24 man hours to hike 2 elk 1 mile.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That's a lot, and
they were just cows.
Well, and that's what
And we were young.
what Bill was. Yeah, and you guys were young, right?
Yeah,
Dude, I got a deer when I was a kid, and shot it with my homemade black powder rifle I built myself. So it was a really cool adventure. But I got this deer, and it was probably 3 or 4 miles out. I'll never forget that. I was like 15 years old. It's like, that was a lot of work, man.
Hiking a deer 3 or 4 miles, yeah. All of a sudden, you think you got an elk on your back. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, and I mean, and it's funny because we first dressed it out, and we wanted to bring the hide with us and everything, right? And
Yeah,
that thing, it kept getting lighter as we were getting closer to home.
We stopped and ate half of it.
Yeah, I think we did build a campfire and had a few bites.
Yeah,
But, yeah, dude, that was some fun times. But the old helicopter ride sound like a really good idea to me because you fly in 5 minutes. I guess you got to wait 24 hours.
24 hours, yeah.
After, because obviously you don't want to land on the elk and just go out and that's not sportsmanlike.
Well, if you think you can fly in a helicopter and land anywhere that you're in the vicinity of elk,
And not have them run into the next county.
yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening. And then out in the mountains, trying to find a place to land a helicopter is not going to be that easy. There's meadows and stuff, but so yeah, the whole 24-hour thing.
Yeah, it does. Well,
they got to have regulations, and I think it does kind of.
It makes some people feel better.
Yeah, I think that's what it's for.
Yeah, it makes some people feel better. So what about, speaking of making people feel better, what about, this video is about difficult topics, and so this is all off-grid 406. We're talking about the 406 here, guys. In case you don't know, 406 is the area code.
It's Montana.
In the whole state of Montana, what do we have, 40 area codes in California, but we only got one here in Montana. So I was like local 209 for me. That was my area code in Cali.
Yeah, we're just straight up 406 here. I probably wouldn't go around bragging about that, Carrie.
Oh, Cali?
Yeah.
No, you know what? I was born in Cali, bro, but I've always been a Montana at heart, and you can.
Yeah, no,
vouch for that.
Carrie's a good import. We're happy to have him. Now I'm an import as well. I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska, but my mom drugged me here. I think I still had my umbilical cord. All my pictures, my baby pictures, are in Montana. My whole education was in Montana. So,
See, you told me you were raised by wolves.
well, have you met my mom?
We ain't gonna tell mom jokes here now.
We ain't
are
going there.
But speaking of wolves, we're talking about tough topics here. So what are some of the in and outs of the wolves up here? I know a lot of people are in love with them. A lot of people hate them.
Man, my favorite movie was Never Cry Wolf when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You ever seen it?
No. What's it about?
Doesn't matter. You'd have to watch it. It's
Anyways.
yeah. Anyway, but the wolf situation. The problem with it is you have New York judges.
Making decisions for Montana.
Yeah, and they're decimating the herds. So now you have all these people moving in here. When we went to get my two youngest sons hunter safety courses, we had to go to Helena and Butte because all the hunter safety courses here were taken. And so you have all these people moving in, wanting to teach their kids how to hunt, and so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But then you introduce apex predators and don't let them be
regulated.
And it's like, this isn't by accident. I think they're trying to diminish the ungulate population in the Rocky Mountain front is what I think they're trying to do.
Well, and the thing that got me is I watched some documentaries by some very well done documentaries by some biologists that were very intelligent, very smart, very hands-on. Because there's a lot of biologists out there that just have an agenda. They just want to push what they want to push, and they don't care what the results are. They have their ideologies, and that's that. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go with the data. They don't want to go what they see. They just want to go with what they feel and what the ideology says, and
certainly
what the schools brought them up to believe. But this individual was doing some pretty heavy-duty study on the wolves up here. First of all, the wolves that they've introduced are much bigger than the wolves that
they're the Mackenzie River strain of Canis lupus, and we had timber wolves down here. They brought in the Mackenzie River strain, and they're more aggressive. Well, and they didn't just bring them here; they're over there in Minnesota. They introduced them. What's that island? Some island to get rid of the moose. The moose population was getting too big, so they introduced these wolves to get rid of the moose. And oddly enough, we don't have any moose around here anymore either.
Yeah, yeah. The moose are basically gone now, and the sentiment is, well, they only kill off the weak. Well,
No.
We have not seen that. We know ranchers in particular, people in particular that have livestock, that have cattle, and they'll go out and they'll kill 12, 15 cows and just leave them lay.
Oh, for sure.
And a part of that study was they were showing how the mountain lions were getting their prey robbed from them, from the wolves. So the wolves would follow the lions around, the lion would make a kill, and the wolves would rob it. So now the lions are killing twice as much because they go, oh, okay, all I got to do is just kill one for them and one for me now. Mm-hmm. And so now the lions are actually killing more game, and on top of the indiscriminate killing from the wolves themselves.
Well, and then the lions kill indiscriminately too. The females, they have to teach their young every year how to kill, and you go up to the M over there in Bozeman, and I used to hike that every day. There was a new dead deer out there just laying, and it was just throated. That was it, and it wasn't the throat; it was the back of the neck that was tore up.
Yeah, obviously a lion.
Yeah, and
a tweaker wouldn't do that.
No. Wouldn't have the ambition to climb that high. But you walk that trail and you see that dead deer laying there from the day before, and another one a little further up the trail that wasn't there yesterday, and it's like, so they're indiscriminate as well. And and I get it, they're teaching their young how to hunt, but that it's true that the cats go out and make a kill, and they don't even try to eat it. They move on, go make another one in a different location, not too far away, but a ways away, so that the wolves don't take its kill. And they don't even try to kill the first one or eat the first one. They just leave it for dead. And the mule deer population's getting decimated. It's the same thing. You can look at Californians' wildlife control issues. There were 2 kids just attacked. One killed by a mountain lion, and they were out shed hunting, some young boys, and over in California. And to bring those policies here, it's just ridiculous, and not delisting that grizzly bear. I don't know how many people have got to get eaten before you have to let apex predators know that they are not apex predators.
Well, and this is the big argument between a lot of the liberal-minded people. And you told me when I first met you that you're old school liberal, and I was like, I kind of wrinkled my nose up a little bit, and I'm like, what do you mean by that, bro? And so Aaron kind of explained to me what an old school liberal is. It's about living and let live, right? It's about, I mean,
Yep.
that's the definition of being a liberal, is you're at liberty.
Right.
You have freedoms, so far as your freedoms don't encroach upon your neighbor's freedoms. And so I've kind of adopted that sort of theology, and I've sort of given up my tribalism, if you will, and just it's live and let live. And that goes with the animals as well. But see, but talking about like apex predators, well, we're the apex predator.
Yes, we are.
And we're the watchers of the land. Now, that's been done incorrectly. So the buffalo, that was a government intervention.
Yep.
Right. That was a play to take the Native Americans out. And so they marketed the buffalo hide, the buffalo tongue, all of the things like that to get to generate
A desire to hunt them.
a desire to hunt them. Yeah, a reason to hunt them.
Right.
Economically. And so they went out and they decimated the herds to actually, it was almost it was a genocidal act almost, like an attempted genocidal act on the Native Americans. Well, maybe not genocide, but definitely control.
Well, a lot of that, when we put the railroad through here, that was part of the allure of riding rail across the country, is that when you got out here, you could shoot buffalo from the railroad and just they would shoot everything. There was a point that there wasn't very much wildlife in the United States because we got rid of all of it. Now I don't think we killed half as many buffalo. I think we killed half as many buffalo as the Native Americans did once they got horses. Once the Native Americans got horses, I think that if you look at the estimate on the amount of buffalo that were here before white man came, and then you look at the amount that the white man killed during the buffalo hunting years, it was like a third of that herd. And it was way small. I'm not sure what the number is.
Well, let's face it, Native Americans are people too, and people have this tendency to overdo everything.
Oh yeah,
I don't care if you're Native American, black, white, pink, yellow, purple, whatever color you are, you have that tendency to be greedy and overdo things.
Well, when you run a herd of bison off of a cliff and you field dress them with rocks, what percent of that meat gets spoiled when you have no refrigeration, no freezer? I have a hard time shooting an elk with a bow 5 miles in and getting it out without it spoiling in one day. So to get that meat from breathing and alive to in a freezer when it's 70 degrees outside, it's a tough chore. It's a chore. I worked at Yellowstone Processing, and people would kill an elk in the morning, and by the time they got it to the processor, the neck would already be rotting that evening. That was one day. So you think about the Indians running those buffalo off of that buffalo jump. 20 of them? 100 of them? How many?
It could have been hundreds.
Hundreds.
These herds were tens of thousands strong.
Yeah.
America was called
a bunch of them.
This area of America was literally called the American Serengeti.
Right.
The buffalo ran like the wildebeest do, and like the pictures.
much bigger.
Yeah.
But how much of that meat could they possibly have?
I mean, as much as they could, obviously, but
as much
but
as they
not
could,
all of it.
But a lot of it went to waste.
It depends on how successful they were, I'm sure. But it goes back to the management. Okay, so now the wolf, the depletion of the wolves, that was all government. The bison was government.
Mm-hmm.
The a lot of the things that a lot of the sins, let's say, on the land has been government driven.
Sure.
And but we need government to be able to control it as well. And but the government has to be overseen by other parties to be able to keep everything legit. And I don't know, what's your thought on that, man?
I think that in this day and age, I'm not certain that our government gives a damn about Western states. I don't think they care about our lifestyle.
Well, what about the state government? What about our state locals?
I don't think they care either.
We don't think so.
No, I think they care about the city folks in Billings and Missoula and Kalispell and Bozeman.
Yeah, the high rollers.
Yeah, the people that generate the money. I think they care about those ideals. You know, like it or not, Montana's not as conservative as it used to be. And Democrats aren't as conservative as they used to be. You know, say what you want about Max Baucus, but in the 80s, he was a heck of a lot more conservative than John Tester. But that liberal ideology, everything's changing, and conservatism is being drugged to the left. To the point...
And the left is being drugged right off the end of the cliff.
Right. The left's out in left field. But it's to the point that things you used to be able to do when I was a kid and stuff that Carrie used to do. We used to have BB gun wars down at the river.
That was an American right.
It was. And we'd have dirt clod fights. And
every American kid in our generation, Gen Z, or no, Gen X, was literally like, we have BB gun BBs still in our bodies.
Right.
There was very few kids that survived that.
Because that one a-hole
would put more than one pump.
Yep. There was the one pump rule, and that guy would not adhere to it. And he always had the best BB gun, too.
That little turkey. He was a rich kid.
But, you know, we used to hooky bob behind the UPS trucks.
Oh, that's where you hang on to the vehicle and
Yeah, you hang on to the vehicle and you ski behind it while they're driving. We used to throw crab apples at Layrite over there in Miles City. There's a big old crab apple tree, and we'd pick these crab apples. There's an underpass right there, and we'd go up on top of the underpass, and when these cars would come, we'd throw these crab apples at these cars and get these high school kids to chase us, you know, and, you know, just naughty stuff that was fun. We weren't bad kids. We were naughty, but, man, you can't get away with any of that these days.
No. Well, we had parents that if they ever caught us, they would flog us until we passed out and then flog us again.
Well,
when we came to.
You got really good at getting away with it. But our parents, you know, we were latchkey kids. Parents worked. We got home and, you know, there was no parents there. And, you know, we drank from garden hoses and rode bikes around. I mean, how often do you see kids out riding bikes?
Yeah.
Without their parents nowadays? You don't.
Yeah, we would go miles and miles and miles. I mean, we were 10 and 12 years old, and we would ride bikes until...
And what was the rule? When did you have to be home?
By dark.
When the street lights came on, you had to be home?
Well, we didn't have street lights, but...
Well, in Miles City, but that was nationwide. As a matter of fact, there was a commercial on TV. It's 10 o'clock. Where are your kids? Because that's when the street lights would come on.
Yeah, I remember those commercials.
Yeah, so... You know, times have changed for, you know, everywhere for everybody, and it's just more authoritarian now. And
I think, you know, well, with probably the exception of maybe, you know, and Pedja that's on here. He's forgot the country you're from. He speaks kind of like Russian, but did I mess that up again? You've told me like 5 times already. But he's been through wars and stuff too. So and he's been through some very oppressive government systems.
Right.
So
so he thinks I'm just being a whiner.
Well,
the stuff we're going through.
Well,
but
he's more familiar with it than we are. We haven't seen war in this country in many years, and so, but we're starting to we're seeing the beginnings of a revolution. Really, we're seeing the breakdown of how like when we see like other countries and what they've gone through, it's happening here now.
Yeah, but American people, we've been softened to the point
Serbia,
that he's from Serbia. Oh
Serbia,
yeah, he's seen some stuff. That guy's seen a lot of stuff.
yeah.
But um, we've been softened to the point that I don't think that Gen X is too old, and the millennials, they're not going to stand up against the government, and Gen Z, I mean, they're too busy worrying about their pronouns. So I don't really think that there's a
Well, we talk about it all the time. It was like, you get all these big, tough, redneck, you know,
yeah.
gonna, we're gonna fight to the last man.
Molon
Don't
Labe.
tell us what to do. We're independent. Put your mask on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they were all seeing dudes drive around in their big old trucks with Molon Lob and come and take him. And
Okay, so he says, real quick, Pedja says, and I do speak Russian, learned in school. Yeah, I knew like from a conversations that so you speak a couple languages, and so English is one of them. So Pedja's a super smart guy, man.
oh, there's a lot of smart people out there, but I don't know if he knows Americans or if he's been to America, but I don't think we have the stomach for a civil war. I don't think that our men are men enough anymore.
No, they're not the men of old. They're not
No,
the ones that are willing to give up life for the betterment of their children. And
no.
what's the old saying? Strong men make good times make weak men makes hard times.
Yeah,
And
we got to
so,
go through the hard times. We're going to have to go through the hard times, and then Peggy, that's his name,
Pedja,
Pedja. He could probably tell you better than anybody, and I don't know how old he is or
he's our age ish.
well, yeah. So I don't know if he knew I don't know if he's seen Serbia when it was more free, but um, you have to. I think you vote in communism, but it takes a gun battle to get rid of it. You can't vote it out. And I don't see America having the stones to now, don't get me wrong. Some people in America, um, we have cops that are getting shot. We have people that are, you know, I don't know how YouTube wants you talking on here, but there are some people that flout the law in violent ways, but the government seems pretty quick to lock them all up. All those guys are behind bars. So I think everybody that has a will to be in a civil war is probably incarcerated right now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Or fortunately, however you want to look at it. But I think that's just the reality of it. You know.
yeah. Well, I mean, we talk about these things a lot, and it is it's a sad it's
It's sad to see your country turn into just government simps.
Pedja says actually communism poses itself with guns. Well, I think the government usually hands those out like candy, during the revolutionary times, and so then they take them all back
Well, certainly.
when they're done with their purpose. Then they don't want that uprising against them. I know for like Khmer Rouge, um, that was uh, there was a lot of the same antagonistic element in the beginning, in Cambodia, uh, that caused this division between the people, and then they created this warlike atmosphere, where they're calling for civil war, much like like they are in America right now. And then all of a sudden, they're going to hand everybody guns. Boom, they go at it. But then the combatants were all taken and then killed as well because they don't want those same combatants. Now we know who all is willing to fight, so we got to get rid of those guys next.
Right.
And so
Well, look at Venezuela. That was communism that was voted in. And now there's no zoo animals. There's no toilet paper, no zoo animals. So there's the old school communism with Stalin and Lenin. That was there was a revolution, and in that at the right time. Um, Chairman Mao, that was a revolution. But you know, as these things progress, now you have your entire education system indoctrinating kids into socialism, and we are literally voting communism into America.
Yeah.
Now Bernie Sanders is out there saying, "Well, hey, we need to change the labor laws so that a 32-hour work week is considered 40 on your pay." And how is it that the government can just take over?
Well, that's a terrible evil. It goes back to the buffalo and to
Yeah.
what they did with the wolves, and what they really did against the Native Americans, and what
Mm-hmm.
the same game that every government has played from day one.
Right.
It's the same dirty game that they always play. Once you get man, and the problem is mankind. And it could be anybody, but you give them power, and all of a sudden it gets in their head, and they feel like they're doing, because that's, I think, the evil is that they actually do feel like they're probably doing good for their people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I don't
and
know that they do, though.
you think they just get twisted, and I mean, there's a conversion that takes place, obviously, because I don't think they all start out bad. I think they become bad over time or maybe they are bad. I don't know. Maybe these people are carefully chosen by whatever evil forces are in play, and
Well, you got to know that first of all, anybody that wants power has a narcissistic.
oh yeah, that's true.
They have a narcissistic personality to begin with. I mean, whether it's president, yeah, you have to. If you think you can run a nation, you have to have a little bit of narcissism in you. Uh, the only person that I think didn't that ever ran a nation was George Washington. He denied that job and told him no and told him no, and they drug him to it.
But wasn't he also like a Masonic, like high Masonic order?
He may have been, but I don't know if that meant then what it means now.
Oh, yeah, it could have been different, huh?
Well, possibly, but I know that he didn't want to be the king. He turned it down. They
Yeah.
wanted to make him king, and he said, "I'll be your president." And he didn't even want the job. They had to drag him to it, which I that's the sign of a virtuous man that is probably.
Has been lost in future leaders.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well,
Now we're just voting in cult of personalities, and the person that'll lie the most and tell you what you want to hear. But the problem is, so this all started with suffrage, and it used to be if you weren't a property owner, if you didn't own property, you weren't allowed to vote. And I think that was important because now you have people
who are voting with no skin in the game.
right,
They don't pay taxes. They don't own
right.
property. They don't have industry. They're not out there hustling, making a buck. And
Well, you have women now that they have no skin in the game either. There's no fear of them being drafted, so they can vote for whatever wars they want, and whatever. There's no consequence for them. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people voting that shouldn't be voting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we've discussed that a lot as well. The sentiment. Okay, Pedja says, "You are right. Government corrupts people. Caesar knew that, so he had a man in his ear in public occasions when people cheer for him and salute him. Man's duty was to keep repeating."
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen. Preach it. Why aren't you sitting here, Pedja? Come to Montana, hang out with us.
I wanna.
I like that guy.
You're just a man. You're just a man. Wasn't that? Oh yeah. So man's duty was to keep repeating, "You're just a man. You're just a man."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've tried to have. We've talked about it. Pedgie and I. We've talked about maybe getting him here. Somehow getting him, patched in.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The YOLO Live guest deal works really well, except for the audio. You got to listen to the audio through here. There's a little bit of a pause, and then you can hear yourself play back in your own ear.
Oh.
and it's really difficult. So you have to like keep them on for when they talk and take them off when you talk. It's very awkward.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm really trying to come up with a solution with that. I've been writing letters to YOLO and seeing if they can get like a software upgrade where the audio can actually be separated, put through a mixer, and then being able to hear that, being able to hear your voice real time. Even if there was a delay on the voice coming in, then it still wouldn't matter.
Right, right. Yeah, no, you know, as far as Montana goes, this is Montana, you know, 406 off grid. I don't think that I should be allowed to vote in Montana because I wasn't born here. I think if you're not born here, I don't think you should be allowed to vote here in Montana. Um, I
In
think
Montana elections, you mean?
in Montana elections, yeah.
Okay.
I think you should be excluded. I think that far too many people have a say who don't deserve a say.
Oh, StreamYard. Pedja, you just answered one of my huge, like, I was watching a video where they actually suggested StreamYard, and I was been trying to figure out and remember. Let me write that down. I've been trying to remember what that was this whole time because the guy highly recommended it, and I was looking everywhere online, asking everyone. Can you? No, I'll write it down on my phone. StreamYard.
I'll remember it.
Okay, so StreamYard. I'll watch the video over again. Or plug in of some other app, some other popular app. Yeah, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to use StreamYard. That was the one. So thank you. You were saying, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was pretty much done. I don't think if you weren't born in Montana, you shouldn't be allowed to vote here. I don't think you should be allowed to hunt here, and I don't think you should be allowed to fish here. That's my, you know, that would exclude me from my entire lifestyle, and I'm fine with that. My kids are born here, and I would make that sacrifice so that they could enjoy a better Montana.
Well, I think American is American, and if you pay your dues, listen, I think America should, you know.
You and I are going to differ on this, and we're going to differ hard because I'll tell you what, I'm not an American. I'm a Montanan.
Okay.
Okay. And first and foremost, I'm a Montanan. That federal government.
But you're from somewhere else.
What's that?
But you're from Nebraska.
Yeah, but
so how would you like to? What I'm saying is like
that's and that's what I'm saying. I would make that sacrifice for my kids to have a better Montana.
Yeah.
But I don't consider myself American. I consider myself a Montanan.
Okay.
You know, before the Civil War, men considered themselves Virginians,
right,
or West Virginians. They weren't American.
Georgians.
Georgians. They were the sons of their state.
Yeah.
And we need to get back to that, and we need to care about that. But that's, you know, and I think that's the crux of the issue here, Carrie, is that people don't care. I mean, they really don't. If you drive down the interstate, heading west, out of Belgrade or out of Bozeman, at 5 o'clock, you have the most beautiful views, the vistas that everybody brags about. You have everything you could ever want to look at. And people bumper to bumper doing 80. Bumper to bumper. They don't care. They don't care about Montana. What are they here for? You know? So I think we need to disincentivize the opportunities in Montana to keep people that actually do care about the lifestyle, the Montana lifestyle alive, because it's going to die.
Well, listen, it's really a lot bigger than that. It's the American lifestyle. We were just talking about experiences that you and I had, you know, growing up.
Yeah,
we're so similar. I'm in California, you're in Montana, and the similarities are identical in our life experiences. You know, I've lived out in the country my whole life. I grew up in the valley, the Central Valley, California. And everybody I knew was exactly like me. And I didn't know anybody else. I went to LA once or twice, handful of times, and I figured, well, LA needs to secede from the Union, and so does San Francisco, because they're just different kind of people up there. But even then, the people from Los Angeles and San Francisco would move into our territory, and they would try to assimilate. They knew that was what they had to do to become part of, you know, to become one of us, and so they tried really hard to do that. And so I always use that as like a, but you know, America is losing its traditions, its lifestyles, it's
because nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You know, and believe it or not, you know, Hispanics were a big part of our culture, you know, too, especially in California. They always have been. The problem is now they're legislating all this crazy stuff to allow illegal immigrants in instead of giving them green cards or work visas, you know, or having them go through a process of becoming an American through because legal Mexicans do not like the idea of illegals coming over in droves,
Right.
like they're doing. Legal Mexican Americans. Well,
I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have a business, and it didn't snow this year. And a friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, I love him to death. He gave me a job running his warehouse because he had no warehouse person. And I was to do that job to help him get the warehouse set up properly how he wanted it. And then when he hired, his goal was to hire a guy to be the warehouse supervisor. And then come April, I was going to quit. And he got the guy hired. And this guy worked at a Great Floors warehouse in Washington State. And this guy's Hispanic. He says, yeah, you only get $14 an hour to do that job over there. I said, 14, really? Must be pretty cheap to live. He says, no. There's just Mexicans everywhere. I said, huh. And turns out this guy is a raging liberal. I said, well, dude, look around here. Your job is going to be valued at $14 an hour in a couple of years. That's what your job is going to be worth, and they will get rid of you, and there will be a guy in here for $14 an hour now. And he tried to argue with me. That'll never happen. That's the problem that's why legal Hispanics don't want illegals here, because it pollutes the labor pool. And I think that Bakken oil boom proved that. People in eastern Montana and western North Dakota were making $25 an hour to sack groceries. So when the labor market when there's not enough labor, wages go up.
They were paying right here at Burger King. They were
paying $20 an hour.
Oh, it was over. Yeah,
it was
25 bucks an hour
for a manager.
Yeah, and I mean it's like, and then they were giving people bonuses, sign-on bonuses.
That was before the housing and rental issues. You know, that was back when people could afford to live here too. Yeah. So, how you fix the labor rate is you get more jobs than you have employees for.
Yeah, supply and demand.
Supply and demand. But Democrats don't like that, and so they bring in all these illegals, and they'll get them legalized. And all our wages are going to go get depressed again.
Well, and it's a huge voting pool that they're going to vote whichever way they're told to vote because they're going to get free stuff.
They will.
And so there's an attack. There's an attack on the American way of life.
It is. It's depleting our vote.
Yeah. So it's not just Montana, but it's America.
Yeah, it's nationally.
Because the California that I remember was one of the greatest places to ever live in the world. I mean, we had the coast, we had the mountains, we had the deserts, we had it all, dude. And
you realize you're in Montana right now, right?
Yeah. Why? What's the point?
You're in the greatest place to live.
Oh, I am now.
This is the last best place.
This is the last best place.
Okay.
But I'm talking 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
Montana was still better.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so. Have you ever spent time on the West Coast?
Yeah, I did.
What part?
Me and a guy named Amato, we drove to L.A. from Las Vegas, and he drove me around his neck of the woods there. He was a Mexican, spoke very little English, but I could speak Spanish back then a little bit, well enough to talk to him, and he could speak enough English that we could get by. But he was a super cool dude, and we went up Hollywood Boulevard at night, and it was the craziest thing I ever seen. And then we went to the beach, and I looked at the Pacific Ocean over there, and I'd seen it up there in Washington State, Puget Sound. But yeah, so I looked at the beach, and we got in the car and drove back to Las Vegas.
Well, okay.
So that's my California. Well, no, then because I hitchhiked from Houston, Texas, up to I think San Bernardino, and then from San Bernardino over into Las Vegas.
So it was all Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Pedro says Colonel McGregor said that his sources told him that there is around 25 to 30 million illegals came in the last 10 years.
Yeah. There's only 1 million people in Montana. That's 30 Montanas. 30 Montanas.
Yeah. Yeah, 30 complete Montana states.
So my vote doesn't matter.
So Chris O'Kane, hey man, how you doing? Saw you popped in on us last week. Just saying hello, guys. Looking forward to seeing the solar eclipse today. It's just another day of the start of the end. YouTube's skeptics and Nostradamus predictions. Oh, yeah. So
let's talk about that. There's a lot of false prophets on the internet, huh?
Well, yeah. So I guess we're going to see what happens here with the solar eclipse. When is that? It's going to be tomorrow for us. I think, Chris, remind me, you're in Scotland, is that right? Or am I thinking of somebody else? So that would be, our buddy, Mr. Aaron Bruce here. He's a Bruce. You might be related to
Bruce.
Some of his people. He's from Scotland.
The Bruce.
You're a blinking Scot, and I'm a blinking Irishman.
Yeah. I think that we were tougher than you, though, Kerry.
Well, it's debatable. I do have some Norwegian in me too, so there's that.
I don't think the Vikings took over Scotland. I think we repelled them at every turn.
You might have repelled us on one of our bad days. It could have been a bad day.
I think it was every day. I think every day we spanked you and sent you home. We took you out.
We were training our children that day, and you just got the weak ones in the.
Oh yeah, it was our Girl Scouts that we were using that day as well.
you fended us off with the Girl Scouts, did you?
Fended you off with the Samoa cookies. Yeah, no, that's cool, Scotsman. It's so sad to see. Well, I'm not going to say that.
So back to the prediction.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of false prophets on the internet, and I could be wrong. How do you judge a prophet, Kerry? How do you judge a prophet?
By the word and by the testimony. If they speak not according to this, there's no light in them.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of YouTubers out there tomorrow that are going to be under strict scrutiny, and we'll see.
Yes, he's from Ren Freshwire. Boy, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm butchering your hometown. Renfrewshire, Scotland.
Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My family comes from well, obviously we're Bruce's, so wherever they're from over there. I'm not real familiar with Scotland, but they all settled in Lipscomb County, Texas. And before that, they were in Kentucky.
Kentuckian?
Kentucky, and
You're
then
a Kentuckian.
West Virginia.
Oh boy, West Virginia. There we go again. There's some banjos out there in West Virginia and them our hills.
Well, that was the original rednecks were all the Scots.
Damn. It was the Scott Irish.
Yep. And
you got to include us in that too. I know you don't want to, but we were there too.
Well, but do you know who the Scotch Irish were? Weren't they Scots that were sent to Ireland and then developed a community? And I could be wrong on this.
I think it was both of them that just kind of immigrated down to those parts of the South that then made a living in areas that others probably seen as a hostile territory,
in the South?
Well, back then, yeah.
Well, I think they populated the Appalachians so they can make their moonshine.
Well, there was a moonshine there too, but there was freedom of religion. There was all kinds of different reasons why they came down.
Yeah, I don't know if the Scottish cared about the freedom of religion. I think they wanted the moonshine.
Just wanted moonshine.
I think they like that solitude
Or they
and
grow weed down there now. Nobody, so
well, whatever flavor your moonshine comes in, I guess. But I think the Scots, they you look at the Highland of Scotland, and I've seen them in the pictures, and it's really nothing like the Appalachians, but it is kind of desolate like the Appalachians. Um, so I think there was a draw for them in that. But yeah,
Pedgy says most of the rednecks were Irish.
what's that?
Pedgy he says actually most of the rednecks were Irish.
Well, get Google out. Paige and I might have to Google fight this one out.
Have a Google match.
Have a Google match. Because I'm pretty sure that etymology of that word.
Red nakedness.
Well, it was a scarf around their neck.
Was it a scarf or was it just they worked in the sun and their back of their neck was
It was a
red?
scarf.
Because it was a derogatory term in the beginning, I think. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was it's a derogatory term now. I don't think it was a derogatory term back in the day. I think they were proud of it. I think it was a red sash around their neck.
You think it was, you don't think it was derogatory?
You don't have Google?
No, it has to be Googled, man. Maybe maybe one of you guys on.
I'm getting called out here, bro. I need a laptop.
I know you do. Well, I've got my laptop, but I'm busy doing the switcher because my wife is not here, and I'm doing a terrible job of it too. So
No,
my
you're doing
apologies.
fine.
Well, you don't see what my end's doing over here. So you watch it afterwards. I'm talking, and you're on the screen, and you're talking, and I'm on the screen.
I got to tell you, driving up that road, beating the heck out of my truck, opening them ever-loving gates, and I get up here to Shangri-La, and I'm in this plush studio in this sofa that you would not believe how comfortable this thing is, guys. It's amazing. Now, I missed my nap today, and I'm about to...
How far down in the underground bunker are we? That's what people are really wanting to... yeah, okay, so Thomas Sowell said something about that. I think, originally he said it was the red scarfs.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell, what a great man. But we're so far down the bunker that Mark Levin is
Above
3
us.
stories up.
Yeah, he's way above us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys have the great privilege of joining us down here in this underground bunker in our newsroom, and you guys can see the spinning world back here, and
This is actually a skyscraper, folks.
The skyscrapers back here. And
Carrie's on the 5th floor in New York.
yeah, and where would that make you, Aaron?
What's that? It'd make me a New Yorker.
We're actually from New York, guys. I'm sorry. We're not even from
terrible.
Montana. We have no idea what we're talking about. There's Montanans out there somewhere.
So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
All right, back to that. Well, the eclipse. I don't think anything's going to happen personally.
There was a lady at work. She asked me what I thought was going to happen, and I remember Y2K, and I remember Yellowstone, Caldera, when the lake was heaving. Everybody around here was getting a little antsy. And I told this lady, I said, I think you're probably going to wake up and you're going to go to work on Monday. And when work's over, you're going to go home, do whatever it is you're going to do. You're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up, wash, rinse, repeat. That's what's going to happen. And I think when you're a YouTube presence, when you have a YouTube channel that for years coming up with content is hard. After a certain period of time, it's got to be hard.
That's a fact.
And so, yeah, and I'm just speaking.
You speak truth.
Yeah, but it was lucky. It was a lucky guess because I've never done this before.
Well, you've done some YouTube, but you've never done a live stream with it. We've talked about it for years.
Yeah, we've talked about it. And the YouTube stuff I've done is recording my grandkids.
We actually talked about making a Carrie and Aaron show because you guys could hear some of our conversations, man. We're just like about ready to from the outsiders probably think we're getting ready to throw blows, but we're like the best of friends, and we just have like these super heated conversations, and we just go on and on and on. We're both tenacious and we're both opinionated. We both think well, Aaron is smart, but he's still just a Scotsman, and so
we were the first cross dressers.
You guys put style in them skirts, though.
Yeah, but
Big old thick hairy legs.
yeah, I think that you got to come up with a certain amount of content, and you know, stuff like that eclipse and the CERN collider and everything that's going on that day, and then the earthquake that happened over in New York. You know, you put all that together, and it's like the low hanging fruit. You know, that is the most beautiful thing that could happen on a day if you're having writer's block. You know what I mean?
So Chris from Scotland says one guy saying the eclipse is the sign Iran attacks Israel and the real war begins.
That's funny because Israel just attacked Iran in Syria. Just bombed their embassy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Israel got
See,
the upper
and
hand.
you and I have differences about that too. I mean, I think we pretty much have differences about almost everything, but we think we're probably the closest to thinking alike of any two people ever alive. Yet we find everything to argue about.
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm married.
Don't argue with me about what I just said.
No, and I'm not. but you know, because when you and I got off our phone conversation this morning, Carrie and I talk every day. And they're hour-long conversations. So when we got off that conversation, you know, I was kind of thinking about this, and I'm not married to a lot of my opinions. Now Carrie has spent a lot of time investigating stuff, and he's a very smart guy. You guys all know that.
Aw.
But you know, a lot of my opinions, I formulate them, and I've been doing this my whole life. I'll formulate an opinion, and then I'll go argue that point with somebody that I think is smarter than me on it. And then I get to evolve I've evolved my theology through this method. I've evolved my politics through this method. So, you know, it's just a method that I use for education. So I'm not married to any of my to any of my opinions. So when I argue, it's I believe it at the time enough to argue it, but I'm not going to plant a flag on it. Now there's some things I do plant flags on.
Yeah, of course.
But a lot of the stuff that Carrie and I talk about,
yeah, it could go either way.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to die on any of those hills because, you know, a lot of it, especially when there's so many ardent supporters for both sides, and each one can give an intelligent, articulate argument on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
well to me, man, part of the fun of the journey is talking your way through stuff. Like getting somebody who's emotionally intelligent, who can sit there and not get, you know, irate or something, and to be able to have these difficult conversations and be able to verbally spar with them, if you will.
Oh, sure.
You know, because I love verbal sparring,
mm-hmm.
and to be able to get through that conversation and get on the other side of it and be like, okay, well, I respect we don't agree, but I still respect where you're coming from.
Oh, I get down in the Bible there and I just start scouring. I'm going to prove him wrong. No. But, you know, you walk away educated. Whether you go look up something Carrie brings up, you know, I'll look up stuff and find out what he's talking about. And I don't know how else you would educate yourself in this day and age.
People have to talk. People have to interact with one another. And if you're just going to be in an echo chamber and find friends that agree with every single doggone thing that you say, I mean,
amen.
That's not honest, you know. And
no.
You got to challenge what you think and how you believe. And I mean, what's wrong with? And the problem is like there's so many people out there that aren't willing to do that now. Like if you disagree with the littlest thing that they are doing, all of a sudden they're just going to cancel you. And it's like,
right. Look at RFK Jr. Probably the most moderate Democrat out there running, would probably do a great job, but the left is like, oh, screw him. He's the Fauci ouchie denier or whatever.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it's like, over that? You know, you guys are booting him over that?
Yeah, and you know.
That was like so 2000.
Yeah, right. Well, and the thing of it is okay. So they framed that argument in such a way where you couldn't win it, because you had to do it for the good of the other guy, which
I won that argument.
how. I remember that one guy told you to put a mask on, and you're like, I don't. Aaron and I were talking on the phone. This was like, and Aaron's super witty. I'm not witty like that, but he was walking through the store and he's talking to me on the phone, and I could hear this little punk come up to him. And he's like, put your mask on. Aaron's like, I don't need to. The guy's like, why not? Aaron's like, because I'm an American.
Yeah, I ain't Chinese, man. We don't do that here.
Shut him down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why that one little thing, and then all of a sudden you're just blackballed from Democrat politics. And it's funny, they're the Democratic Party, but they won't even give him a shot.
Yeah, the Democratic Party. Okay, so that's but see,
but they're suing him to keep him off of ballots, and it's like,
I don't know. I think a lot of that's theater too. I mean, I talk about this a lot, but it's like I honestly believe that every one of these contestants are just theater. Now, well, who was it? Which famous author was that? Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn. Who wrote those?
That was Samuel Leghorn Clemens, Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. Yeah. So Mark Twain, I think, coined the phrase if our votes actually counted, they wouldn't let us do
it. Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, you watch that movie New York, Gangs of New York, and it's a pretty accurate depiction of voting back then with Tammany Hall and the corruption that was going on there. And vote often, or what was it? Vote early and vote often. That was the phrase that everybody was putting out there. So, yeah, I don't know if our votes count.
What time's the eclipse tomorrow, man?
I think it happens all day.
What do you mean?
At different points.
At different points, yeah. Where what time is it here?
We don't see it here.
We don't see it here?
No, it's on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it runs that strip up, I think, by Florida and then goes up through New York.
I thought about doing like a prophecy, because, and if you're interested in prophecy, stuff like that, I have a whole channel devoted to it, Chris. It's actually called Prophecy Montana here on YouTube. So, and we haven't talked about the eclipse yet, but we talk about all kinds of other stuff on there. And Aaron is always on there with his comments. He's never joined us live yet, but he's always commenting on there. He's under Big Sky Argonaut. So, yeah. By the way, that's his YouTube channel too, in case you guys are interested. Check out some of his stuff. You got some cool videos on there.
It's my kids,
yeah,
and grandkids.
Yeah, but you got some like some cool video of like the Missouri River and going down it and stuff. And
yeah, and it's filmed like a Montana redneck could film it too. It's that's for my son. He wanted to be a little YouTuber back in the day, and so I said, well, I'll do my best to accommodate. And so we bought some equipment, and Carrie and I were talking about doing it. So I had some equipment, and I thought it'd be kind of fun. I like to run my mouth, and I'm too busy with work.
Well, but where were you like a couple months ago when the snow was flying? We could have had a YouTube channel. Excuse me.
Yeah, because I have another job when the snow's flying.
Well, I know, because you didn't listen to my advice and go, jobless.
Well, I would like to do that. Unfortunately, I have to work. I'm a slave to the grind.
One of the great benefits of living off grid has been you don't have a whole lot of bills. I mean,
no, Kerry has definitely set himself up, and with all the money he's raking in off this YouTube stuff.
Oh, whatever. I actually had a person comment on that one time. There's like, yeah, you're making way too much money or something like that. I'm like, oh man, you don't know. How long did it take us to set up this right now?
It took us an hour. Yeah, it took us an hour.
And most of the stuff was already set up, but it was just like, but there's still all these things that you're doing.
And just so you know, I sat here. I didn't do anything, so I didn't even know what to do.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can have a YouTube channel for years and years and years working your butt off and not make a single dime, and all of a sudden you start making money, and it's like everybody's criticizing you because you're making money sitting on your butt doing nothing. It's not how it is.
Yeah, no, Carrie's worked on all sorts of stuff. As a matter of fact, I think his entire house out here was dedicated to It wasn't. I don't think it was for YouTube though. I think it was to help people and to share your experience. You know, he's not he's not trying to gain fame off of this. I think he I'll tell you a little story about Kerry. My septic backed up, and I was trying to find out what was wrong with it, and I had my septic pumped, and uh, it kept backing up, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I figured maybe it was the drain field, and I called Kerry, and he says, "Well, I don't know. I'll be down here in a minute." And that guy spent the entire day and a half, digging up my septic system to find out it was my distribution box was broke, and helping me repair it. So I don't think this is about money for Kerry. I think it's a natural desire to help people and to grow with people. That's how I look at it. But
Well, we're bros, man. What are bros for? You've been
yeah,
there
but
for
you
me
do it
too,
for
man.
other people. I mean, you don't know any of these people, and so yeah, I think you're a good guy to everybody. I don't think it's just me. So it was a blessing meeting you, getting to know you for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you, bro. Yeah. This is one of our finer moments, you know. Usually we're bickering.
Well, no, and actually, how did we meet?
Well, through John.
Well, yeah, I couldn't get my well running when I moved back.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Yeah, but we met over there at John's first.
No.
No?
Met you in my front yard. John called you up. Hey, I got a guy who needs help out there in Clarkston, and you and your wife showed up and showed me how to wire my well.
Well, I thought it was over there at John's and you showed up with your bow. You were bow hunting with your son.
Nope. First time I met
But
you,
do you
you
remember
showed up.
that time? You showed up over there at John's?
Yep, I do.
And that was what, second or third time, you think?
No, I think that was probably the 20th.
We're going to argue about this too.
Well, but see, Kerry likes to say, "Oh, I'm not an expert. I'm not." Well, guess what, folks? I am on everything, so I'm right.
Right on.
But yeah, that's how we met. You were helping me do my get my water hooked up in my house, so we could have water. And you ended up walking out of there with a hot water heater.
Yeah, that's right. I still got that puppy upstairs. That's the one I
Yeah.
hooked up to my dump load controller, and I've been heating my hot. Well, actually, I need to replace it because it's got a small hole in it right now. So, but I got a lot of use out of that sucker.
There you go.
That was like how many years ago?
10.
Yeah, and then he's always telling me how much I help him. But he's like, "Oh, can you gravel my driveway?" So I bring him a couple dump trucks loads of gravel, and he buys me like this. What? Oh yeah, right. Okay. So he buys me this really cool gift, and anyways, it was worth a lot of money.
Well, the driveway that I was driving on was quicksand. So
Yeah, well, it
there were
was.
3 cars underneath all.
Gotcha.
No, it was good helping people. I think Carrie and I are about the only people that walk away with on the barter system where both sides are happy.
Yeah, well, the barter system's good, man. Actually, it's worked out real good for me with a lot of different people. I mean, because if you exchange money, you feel like you've given up something, like because that's the value that we've put in on money. But if you just go over there and you just spend time with your bro, and you're helping them out, and all of a sudden, they feel like they got to return something for what you've helped them out with, and you're both walking away happy because you're just like, well, I was going to do it for free because we're bros, but all of a sudden you're just like, the other guy's like, here, take this.
Yeah, definitely. When if I would have given you cash, it would have been like slap it in your hand, you'd put it in your pocket and turned around and walked off. But when you seen what it was, your eyes lit up.
Yeah, it was a
You were
great
pretty
gift.
pleased. So
Well, yeah, because you're into this particular hobby,
yeah,
and so you wanted me to be included in it too, and I was already kind of included in a division of that hobby, let's say, and you guys are gonna think we're weird by saying this, but there's a reason why we're being a little confidential, and if you guys were in person, we'd have no problem saying it, but YouTube and its stuff, yeah, can be a little difficult at times, but. No, man. If you guys are still with us, thanks for sticking with us this far. And I don't know, we'd like to have Aaron with us here again on the show. And so hopefully, Aaron, will maybe in the future we'll do some more programs together. And
groovy.
and you guys be sure and hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and and every Sunday, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. I don't know what that time equates where you guys are at, but same time every week. So God bless, and you guys take care. And yeah,
It's nice meeting you, some of you guys. So
yeah, so and all right, with that, folks, we'll bid you farewell, and